Hi, Jeff. This is Ron from POC Culture. This is the fourth time we've had a chance to talk for each
Yeah.
of your films. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me again. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really glad that you're still interested. So thank you very much.
No, absolutely. At this point, like your films, it's becoming an annual holiday tradition, so I appreciate it. We missed you last year. But
Yes, yes.
speaking of holiday traditions, I know the last time we talked about your Celtics tradition of going to the game with friends and family. Is that still on for this year?
I wish it was, but the Celtics are not playing on Christmas Day. I guess the schedulers thought they weren't going to have a strong enough team, but they're doing pretty well, actually. They won last night.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I mean, they need
I
to
know.
make accommodations for your traditions. That's very
For
rude
our
of them.
for our traditions, actually, absolutely.
Before we get to the film, I know you recently released your latest book in the series, Party Pooper, and congratulations on that. How has it been comparing like that kind of press tour that you're on compared to now doing the film? How do you compare and contrast the two?
I guess they're really different. When I come out with a book, I get out on the road. I drive a van and we go from place to place. And this is really different. I'm right now in a New York hotel, sitting in my room talking to you. And so it's more virtual. But it's really cool, like knowing that in 2 days here, this thing that we worked really hard on is going to get out there into the world and into everybody's living room. So that's a special kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great that you're, being able to experience the different variations of the press tours and fan interaction. Because I know we've talked about how you haven't had a lot of chance for the films to interact with the fans. So I'm glad you get to do both. Now, for this film, it's great. It's a lot of fun, and of course, like totally appropriate for the season. So, are you the type in the mornings to stay in bed until you can't stand your breath, or do you get up at the crack of dawn and start
Yeah.
getting things done?
You know what? I am the type to stay in bed, but I've tried to wake up earlier so that yes, I'll get up at 6:30, lay in bed till 7:30. So at least I'm not getting up at like 1 in the afternoon.
That's right. I'm the same. I need to adopt this like earlier schedule that you have there.
Yeah,
But I try to stay, especially when things get a little cold.
yeah,
Um, I know, of course, so many of these stories are based on your personal experiences. You've shared in the past about, you know, going outside and having unstructured time with friends, and then your brother is having a party for Roger
yeah,
Cools.
yeah.
So for this one, could you share a little bit? It's got to be pretty personal about like the parental relationship, the father-son relationship, and what inspired this story.
Yeah, it's funny. In this one, we start off with a scene where Greg doesn't know how to use a key, and his father's really troubled by this because he thinks like, "Have I not taught my son how to use a key?" And I think that really goes to the heart of parenting, right? Because we're trying to prepare our kids for the real world, and sometimes we feel like we haven't prepared them. And that came straight out of a real life situation where my son didn't know how to use a key, and so so it went straight into the movie, and sometimes that does happen.
I love that. And, as a parent myself, it definitely resonated with me. There's so many times where I'm wondering how much I'm ruining my kid's life.
Right.
So I really, and the part that really connected with me is the elements of like the disastrous, creating disaster out of nowhere, which I
Yeah.
experienced so much. Like, I think that caused me so much stress. What has that been like for you and your parenting of like having to deal with like managing children disasters?
Yeah. My kids have actually been pretty good. I got to be honest with you. I think I was the one who, created disaster out of thin air. And what's really fun about that line in the movie is that that's what Greg's father says about Greg, and then it's revealed at the end that that's the kind of kid that Frank was too as a kid. So it's bookended, which is kind of fun.
That's right. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You
Right.
know, I'm curious since you're still writing your books, which is great, and obviously you've evolved as a screenwriter over this process, I assume. How have you grown as a screenwriter specifically over these last few projects?
I think I've grown a lot as a screenwriter, and that's helped me to write better stories as well. Nowadays, when we think about adapting one of my books into a movie, it's not hard to write that treatment because we know that it's already structured like a movie. So I'm getting a little bit better at it. I think I had kind of a big learning curve, but I've gotten better at it, and I feel like I can crack a story pretty quickly these days.
No, that's great. And so I know Party Pooper was book 20 in the core series. Are we hoping for 20 films ultimately at the end of the day?
You know, that's funny is I think we aspire to that, but the math doesn't quite work out. You know, I'm not sure we can actually pull that off, but it's fun each time. You know, I never thought we'd adapt The Last Straw into a film, and here we are, and I think it's a pretty good one. So I can't wait for people to see it.
That's great. Likewise, Jeff, thank you for again for your time, and I hope to speak with you the next, what, 16 more years
Yeah,
going forward.
right. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for doing what you do.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
You too.